So welcome to Creative Campfire, and thank you for joining us on a nice Tuesday evening. I did see some snow in the forecast for central to northern New Hampshire again, but it's okay. Spring will come, and we're glad to be here. My name is Amanda Whitworth, and I am a mom, an artist, a collaborator, a dancer. I'm an interior design wannabe, and I daylight as a professor at Plymouth State University. And I'm joined here by my co-host, Robin Marcotte, who I'll send over to introduce himself.
Hey everyone, as Amanda said, my name is Robin Marcotte. Thanks for being with us today. I am a physical theater artist that lives in New Hampshire, and I moonlight as a professor at Boston Conservatory. I am a physical theater artist. I'm a queer rights activist. I'm a dad. I'm an educator, as I said, and I'm a secret lover of sports cars. Don't tell anyone.
A Corvette. Yeah.
Yes.
Robin's going to drive a Corvette as he goes.
My heart.
We're so happy to have you here. And one of the things we want to chat about before we begin is why we're doing this, why it's important, and what you can expect for this evening. We decided to host Creative Campfire in this time to bring community together. The New Hampshire State Council on the Arts has received an outpouring of love and also inquiries about how the arts and culture sector can get together. So in my new role as Artist Laureate, I engaged my colleague Robin here to think about ways that we could celebrate arts in our community and talk about what's happening and also see works that are happening right here live. So we created Creative Campfire using the metaphor of that campfire because fires have been a gathering place for communities for ages. Yeah, they are places where people come together with neighbors and friends. They make new friends. They also share stories, and in that specific setting of a campfire, often that sort of camaraderie creates a space where difficult stories can come to life. So the Creative Campfire here, while tonight is a night of celebration and joy, could also manifest some conversations that we need to have collectively in terms of healing and moving forward. Each campfire that we host will run in the same format. It'll start by collecting the kindling, and the kindling is what I'm doing right now. I'm setting us up for our fire. So there's an introduction, and in campfires to come, we may do a collective centering practice to bring our breath all together in one space. Next is the spark. This is a crowdsourced, pre-scheduled performance or engagement where artists from across our community come to share what they're doing. Tonight, we're going to see some young artists in action sharing the work that they do. Next, we'll move on to the fire. The fire and the heart of our arts and culture sector here in New Hampshire is the State Council on the Arts. And they're here to give a brief fast blast of information that artists across our state may be interested in. Then we'll move into the warmth. The warmth of the fire is a curated group of panelists. These are field experts who will be talking about or discussing a theme, and they'll be open for questions. So when we get to that point, people who are here watching, you'll be able to ask questions of the people in the campfire through the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And then we end with s'mores, and s'mores are a goodbye, a wrap up, and a see you next time. So we're gonna take it away, and we are gonna move into our spark. These are our performances. And tonight I'd like to first introduce you to Emma Cahoon. Emma is an actress, dancer, director, a Pinkerton Academy Astro, and a future Boston University Terrier. She is 17 years old, and she is performing a monologue from a new play by A.J. Diddy. It's entitled The Boig. And this was supposed to premiere in June by Theater Kapow. That has now been postponed, but we'll be looking forward to it in the future. Take it away, Emma.
There is a creature down in the depths. Nobody's ever seen it, but its presence is familiar, like something creeping in the corner of your eye, but when you turn to look, it isn't there. They don't have a name for it. No troll has ever ventured down into its lair and returned to tell of it, but they know it's there, waiting. They sealed it away, locked it up beneath their city. It inspires madness on anyone that looks upon it. Trolls are disappearing every day. They needed help. They asked me, begged me. Would I face it? Would I fight it the way the other had long ago? What choice did I have? I made my way down the long, spiraling staircase, torch in hand. It seemed to descend forever. When I looked up, the light was almost completely gone. The air became damp, cold, tasted like mildew and rot. I began to think there was no end, that I would continue to descend until I dropped dead of old age, and that's when I heard the breathing. Soft, just at the edge of my hearing, but I could hear it, in and out. The smacking of wet jaws, the grinding of teeth. I continued down and down until I was surrounded by darkness. My torch a tiny speck in the void. And suddenly a voice. You are not a troll. No. Reconsider my offer then. No. Come on. You know you want to. Life has a way of being so endlessly taxing. Stay a while. You're hurting people. I haven't hurt anybody. The others who have come down here, they're still here. Isn't that right? Suddenly I hear a cacophony of voices, a chorus of trolls chanting, we are here, we are here, we are here. I know you, the voice said. I've always known you. There's nothing out there for you. Mother dead, father taken away, you're alone. But here, you'd have us forever and ever. Who are you? I asked. I am what I am. And I realized there was no vanquishing this creature, and there was no reasoning with it either. It was neither man nor beast, but a fact. And I was terrified. I swung my fists at it, nothing. I bit and clawed at myself, nothing. I screamed and screamed and screamed, and still it remained. So I ran. Back the way I came, up the stairs, through the forest and back home. I don't know what happened to the trolls. I don't think they made it. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma. So you'll notice when you're watching that our focus this evening is on young artists, because we're celebrating Youth Arts Month here in New Hampshire and across the nation. So we've invited people who are New Hampshire young, so ages 30 and under, as well as people who provide services, mentorship, or innovative programming that support transitional age youth, meaning young adults ages 16 through 24. So I'm going to kick it off next to Sidney Kilgore. Sidney is a 17-year-old junior at Concord High School. She's a friend, an avid podcast listener, a frequent laugher, a daydreamer, and a poetry enthusiast in progress. She will be reciting The End of Science Fiction by Liesl Mueller. Take it away, Sidney.
Thank you. The End of Science Fiction by Liesl Mueller. This is not fantasy. This is our life. We are the characters who have invaded the moon, who cannot stop their computers. We are the gods who can unmake the world in 7 days. Both hands are stopped at noon. We are beginning to live forever in lightweight aluminum bodies with numbers stamped on our backs. We dial our words like Muzak. We hear each other through water. The genre is dead. Invent something new. Invent a man and a woman, naked in a garden. Invent a child that will save the world. A man who carries his father out of a burning city. Invent a spool of thread that leads a hero to safety. Invent an island on which he abandons the woman who saved his life with no loss of sleep over his betrayal. Invent us as we were, before our bodies glittered and we stopped bleeding. Invent a shepherd who kills a giant, a girl who grows into a tree, a woman who refuses to turn her back on the past and is changed to salt, a boy who steals his brother's birthright and becomes the head of a nation. Invent real tears. Hard love. Slow-spoken, ancient words. Difficult as a child's first steps across a room. Thank you.
Thank you, Sidney. So Sidney was recently named champion of the New Hampshire Poetry Out Loud High School championship round, and she has been actually her award and the progression of that award has been affected by recent happenings. So at the end of this webinar, I'm gonna provide an email or a website and a blog where you can read more about all of our presenters and panelists, and you can read a little bit about Sidney and what her trajectory will be as champion of poetry out loud. Thanks, Sidney. So now I'm going to send it over to the Seacoast Repertory Theater in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, where Jason Faria, AKA Honey Punch, is waiting to serenade us. Jason is an actor, singer, drag queen, video game lover, and a songwriter. He is 27 years old, and he is a full-time resident artist at the Seacoast Rep. He also earned his BA in Theater Arts from Plymouth State University in 2014. You'll see tonight he is appearing as Honey Punch with his puppet pals, and they're gonna do an original song. You can catch Honey Punch and his friends on Saturday mornings at the Seacoast Rep. They're doing an awesome remote series that's family friendly and really such fun. You'll also be able to find a link to that information on the website that I provide at the end of the webinar. Over to you, Jason.
In the morning, Honey Punch and pals, Honey Punch can always make you smile. It's the hour where being yourself is always allowed. We're Honey Punch and pals. Hello, everyone at the Creative Campfire. I'm Honey Punch. I'm so happy to be with you here today. Oh, I have such a great day planned. And if you like what you see here today, you can catch more of our online programming events at crowdcast.io/the Seacoast Repertory Theater. We've had to move to an entirely online streaming service, and now we've made programs and fun shows for everyone to enjoy. Honey Punch and Pals premieres every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. I'm so excited to share with you one of my original songs. But before I can do that, I need my pals with me. I have to give them a call. Oh, pals! Oh! I'd like you to meet my pals. Here we have Mr. Monster. Mr. Monster, how are you today?
I am dazzling today, Honey Punch. How are you?
I'm terrific. I love that word, dazzling. Oh, and this is my good friend, Lavinia. Hi, Lavinia. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, honey. How are you?
Oh, I'm splendid. Give a wave to everyone at the Creative Campfire. We're so happy you could join us today at Honey Punch and Pals Abridged.
Honey,
Yes.
I have a question.
What is your question?
Well, my Aunt Joan gave me this rattler.
Ooh.
But I need a friend to make it work.
How do I make it work?
Well, you just smack the top.
Like this?
Oh,
Smack it again. One more time. Oh, how fun. We sure do. My hat keeps falling off. I can't wait to share with you this song. I call it, I Feel Fabulous. Do you feel fabulous?
I feel fabulous. You feel fabulous?
I feel fabulous. Walking down the sidewalk with a strut 'cause it's my runway. Imagine if nobody got to see me feeling this way. Well, that'd be sad, 'cause when I shine, everyone shines too. And when we all shine together, there's nothing we can't do, 'cause we're fabulous. Let's be fabulous. Put on your favorite pair of shoes and chase away the blues, 'cause we're fabulous. Let's be fabulous. The demons in you will never win you. Now everybody say, do you feel fabulous? I feel fabulous. When I look in the mirror, let me tell you, I like what I see. Because the person looking back is absolutely, positively me. Yeah. And I'm the only me in this entire gosh darn place. And you're the only you. What you have, no one can replace. 'Cause we're fabulous. Let's be fabulous. Put on your favorite pair of shoes and chase away the blues. 'Cause we're fabulous. Let's be fabulous. The demons in you will never win you. Now everybody say, do you feel fabulous?
I feel fabulous.
I feel fabulous. You know that every time it rains, it makes the flowers grow. So next time that it rains on you, let it fall upon your skin, and everyone will know that you're fabulous. Let's be fabulous. Put on your favorite pair of shoes and chase away the blues, 'cause we're fabulous. Let's be fabulous. The demons in you will never win you. Now everybody say, do you feel fabulous?
I feel fabulous.
I feel fabulous! Oh, I do so love to feel fabulous. Once again, you can catch us every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. We have books to read, special guest visitors, more songs, more dancing, and more fun. Right on crowdcast.io/the Seacoast Repertory Theater. And there you'll also find our lineup of many other fun events that you can tune into. Oh, friends, I had so much fun today here at the Creative Campfire, didn't you? Before we say goodbye, I do have one more song to share. Good night, my friends, goodbye. We had so much fun today. Good night, my friends, goodbye. In my heart you will always stay. Now go out and make the best of each day. And until next time, goodbye. It was so fun to be with you all today. Thank you so much for having us. Goodbye.
Thanks, Honey Punch. And thanks, Seacoast Rep, for supporting us tonight. We're so lucky to have you. So I am going to now send it over to Kayla Schweitzer, who is part of the team at the New Hampshire State Council on the Arts. And she's going to give us a fast blast of what is going on there. Kayla, can you... Oh, yep, I see you now. I see you now. Tell us a little bit about what's happening in your world and what we can expect.
Thank you, Amanda. I'd like to start by extending my gratitude to both you and Robin for putting this together and for inviting the State Arts Council to share an update with all of you. And I would also like to thank all of you for all the hard work you guys have been doing and currently are doing in your communities. We value and recognize the impact you are having. So thank you again and keep up the great work. At this time, we are moving forward with our FY21 grant cycle as planned. Match requirement is waived for all our FY21 applications. Please visit our website at nh.gov/NHArts to view grant programs and deadlines. We will receive funds from the National Endowment for the Arts through the Federal CARES Act, which will be distributed to arts organizations for emergency operational needs. We are working on the guidelines now and hope to open the application process by May 1st. We also are receiving some funds from the New England Foundation for the Arts, who is our regional arts partner, for individual artist emergency grants. Guidelines are being developed now, and we're hoping to open the application process again by May 1st. We are doing everything we can to inform and support the field. Please visit our website to join our e-news list if you're not already on it. That's the best way to stay updated. Thank you.
Thanks, Kayla. And did you know that Kayla self-identifies as a fiance, a dog mom, an arts ally, a foodie, and a world traveler? And I just learned via email today that she has an interior design dream just like I do. So she's also a closet interior design wannabe. She is the grants coordinator for the Heritage and Traditional Arts program at the Arts Council, and we will hear from a representative at the Arts Council through each Creative Campfire. If you have any questions regarding any of the grant funding or any processes that the Arts Council can consult you on, you can drop those in the question and answer box that's at the bottom of your screen. We'll make sure those get over to the council and you get an answer in a timely fashion. So now we're going to move on to a section of the campfire we call Warmth. This is where we talk to field experts, people who are working on projects, art, or advocacy associated with our theme. So I'm gonna ask Stacey, Marissa, and Anthony, and Robin, I see you just came on, to both unmute and start your video. So I'm going to introduce all three of our field experts and give a wave when I shout you out, and then we'll get going on a conversation. So I'm going to start with Stacey Zemla. Stacey is a maker of things. She's a mama and she's a barterer. So she makes logo designs in exchange for local foods. She's a teacher and an optimist. Stacey's the art integrationist at the Spartan STEAM Innovation Academy at White Mountain Regional High School in Whitefield, New Hampshire. And I get to hang out with her and do board service for the Arts Alliance of Northern New Hampshire. So we'll see each other soon. I also have here Marissa Delhay, a great friend of mine here. I'm so excited to have her. She's a mom, a wife, an educator, a friend of all ages, I would add, and an entrepreneur. She's the owner of the Teach at Home Mom and creator of the Teaching Tote. Yeah, I have shared all of the ways you can get in touch with these people in the website I'll share at the end, so you'll be able to see more about Marissa there. And then I have my friend and collaborator, Anthony Bounphakoma. He is an artist, a mover, a life lover, an entrepreneur, and a kid who dreams big. He is a dance instructor, a mentor, and a business owner. I'd say he's also an inspiration to a lot of young people in his area. He's the owner of the Block Dance Collaborative that has an epic Indiegogo campaign happening right now, which is also linked up on the website. So these three people have been really doing some amazing work in different ways with transitional age youth, so ages 16 through 24. And both Marissa and Anthony are also working with the younger demographic. Marissa's working in early childhood education with the littles, infants through school age as well. And I've invited them to share a story from their practice. I asked them to think about something they might share that has been successful in sort of our recent weeks and to reflect on the learning in that practice. So I'm going to start with Stacey and ask her to share first.
Thanks.
I'm going to interject real quick, Stacey, just in case anyone has questions that pop up throughout each of the speakers. At the bottom of your screen, you're going to see a Q&A button. Feel free to enter the question in there and we'll make sure we relay it to the person that comes up. Thanks. Sorry about that, Stacey.
Oh, that's fine. So one thing that's really been working well for us is giving students lots of options. So I work with a team of 4 other people, and we are presently allowing students or giving them the opportunity to create passion projects. And so that's a time when they pick a theme or a topic, something that they're interested in, and then they do some really hardy research on whatever that topic is, create some kind of product, and then we ask them to document the process as well. And so they share that with us. And we also have been encouraging them to kind of express how they're feeling. So we've asked them to keep a quarantine journal, create some propaganda art about social distancing, or create a land journal, or make some Andy Goldsworthy style art. So we're trying to keep it light, but also giving them space to talk. So we hold office hours in like a Google Meet session so kids can drop in, get feedback. Art is an element. I'm an integrationist, but it's one pillar in the STEAM world. So it plays a role. I think in this digital format, it's really, we're kind of seeing that kids really need to think about how they're capturing their products. So that's something that we're using as an opportunity for a skill for them to gain during this time. We've seen some cool stuff, some kids making a lot of upcycled clothing art, or one kid made a brine shrimp farm out of some recycled material. So it really depends like what you're interested in to feed his fish. Yeah, it's great. It's great to see. And I think too, it's just nice to have a platform where they can check in, because I also feel like social emotionally, they're feeling really lonely, hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you will take any of the elasticity in content, or maybe like rubric, right, that makes sort of boundaries? Will you take any of what you're learning here and apply it when you come back to a regular classroom setting?
Yeah, I think one of the most valuable things that we can take from this is, often we provide seminars where our students will listen to us give content, and we may repeat it multiple times in the course of the week. And I think after doing this, doing it once, recording it, and then allowing the students to access the content through video, and then being able to spend more time with them, giving them face-to-face feedback, working, kind of giving them more individualized time instead of saying the same thing again. So I think that's a great takeaway. And then I also think too, just slowing down a little, kind of being more present.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great. So I'm going to kick it down to Marissa. So while Stacey works with high school age kids, Marissa's working with a younger demographic. So I'll let her describe her work too, and then a story from the field that's working.
Sure. Okay. Hi, I'm Marissa, also known as the Teach at Home Mom. And if you're wondering exactly what that business is, on a normal basis, what I do is I rent mainly preschool curriculum kits, which include things like books, games, crafts, lessons, experiments, toys, to parents on a bi-weekly basis. And they are all revolving around a particular theme. So basically, you know, if you were an educator, like a unit. So whether that be space or animals, trains, I actually have an arts appreciation tote, which includes all of the wonderful things that all of you amazing and talented artists can certainly speak to. So theater, music, the visual arts. So that is what I do on a normal basis, and I call these curriculum kits teaching totes. So if you think of it sort of like a lending library, we all know that our local actual libraries are all closed down right now because we can't be circulating germs. And so with that, I've had to pivot my business model during this time of social isolation. So what I'm currently doing, and this I guess is my story from the field, is that I am now teaching lessons here on Zoom. So I use the books and materials from those teaching totes. And so parents are asked to collect materials around the house. So like when I was teaching, I was teaching an engineering lesson, and so I had asked, if they don't have blocks, you can go into your pantry and you can get cans of beans and we can build with those. And so it was basically a blueprint lesson. So I've had to become a little bit more creative, of course, with my approach, and that was something I really kind of wanted to speak to in my 3 minutes here, is that in boredom comes creativity, and all of you amazing people can certainly probably draw from that in your professional experience. And so I also have kind of like moved things that used to be in real life kind of things virtually. So I do 2 story times a day on my Facebook business page. And I've started utilizing Instagram as a resource more than ever for parents. So I do 2 daily posts on Instagram. One is a joke because we got to keep laughing and make sure that our littlest kiddos are laughing too. And the other post is a while we're home idea of the day. Because like right now, children and parents that are like in kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, they have distance learning plans. But for the most part, preschoolers don't really have that. So parents are kind of scrambling to come up with that content. In terms of support, I was lucky enough to have my college roommate be one of my absolute best friends. And as I was learning to be a teacher, she was learning to be a marketing consultant, and she was a communications major. So luckily I have her experience to draw upon right now, and she gives me a lot of good tips for that. Young people right now, especially those who are in that critical early childhood stage, are craving connection, which I'm hoping to foster through these classes online. I see this work having the immediate impact in the sense that I'm helping to facilitate that critical social interaction and a continuance of academics for our youngest community members at a time when this is unfortunately our only opportunity for connection, and also giving parents a little bit of a needed break. Going forward, and based on feedback that I've received from parents, I see my impact being twofold. One, as a byproduct of teaching children online, I'm also essentially teaching parents how to teach. And 2, I've had multiple requests to have these lessons transition into in-person, real-life, mommy and me type model kind of classes here at my house. So I am excited at the prospect of adding this as a new endeavor for a teach-at-home mom offering. And I was asked to speak to, if I were to partner with someone, who would I pick? Certainly local museums and libraries, but on a broader scale, educational companies like Scholastic, Learning Resources, Community Playthings, and Lakeshore Learning.
Cool. And how do you, those little ones, how are they engaging with the remote, like the technology? How's that, like, what are you finding? Are they as engaged when you're presenting on a Zoom?
That's a great question. And I'm excited to answer it because I'm just so proud of them. Like kids, so their parents come to my house to pick up their teaching totes on a regular basis. And so I get to have that sort of connection with them, even though they're not always my in-class students the way that we really think about students. So I'm kind of always been used to having distance learners. When I rent these totes out to their parents, I'll check in with them and say, oh, hey, you know, how's Ellie doing with such and such thing? How's Kayla doing on blah, blah, blah? Does Cameron need a little bit extra such and such in his next tote? And so I'm sort of already used to that. Seeing them engage over a screen, especially as a Montessori educator, I have to say has been a huge transitional thing for me, because it's just, it doesn't come naturally. And it certainly, especially in early childhood, it's not ideal. But like you were asking, Stacey, what are we drawing from this experience moving forward, and what things are we going to add to our existing sort of like scope of how we educate? I've learned so many things in the course of the last 5 weeks that I never would have even imagined. So doing great. It's not the same, but they're doing so great.
Awesome. That's awesome. Thanks, Marissa.
Thank you, Amanda.
I'm going to kick it over to Anthony, because there's some, this is good segue, right? So talk a little bit about your work and what's happening there and what you're seeing.
Yeah, so I'm a hip hop dance instructor, and sometimes I don't like to say just hip hop. I do all street styles like popping and even like animation, like all that stuff, right? But a lot of the urban, I guess the now type of dances. And so I teach it everywhere, from dance studios to even like the school systems around here. Like they'll bring me in for like music class to teach them about like honestly, I think it's their excuse to get, some variety in the schools. So we'll be listening like some Justin Timberlake rather than a regular class. So I'm heavily involved with those guys, and also like the dance industry itself. So people that you've seen like who've been on the Super Bowls and things like that, or like in those Millennium Dance Studios, they're actually my peers. And, I'm passionate about that. But the overall message for me is just the love for all of it. My kind of niche has been the children in the community aspect of going in and, using dance as kind of the gateway to teach these kiddos how to love themselves a little more. I've worked with from 2.5 to adults. But my, hot pocket is definitely the 16 and up, and then the second grader area, but it's definitely difficult because dance is a dance class is very connection. So when you see a kid kind of like killing it, you can go over and look and be like, dude, I love that shoulder of yours, and it gives them this sense of confidence. So for me, watching the dance industry get hit basically with this craziness, everyone's doing these live Instagram dance classes, and it's good. It's good in terms of training dance, but I noticed that it's still missing that connection. So for me, again, it wasn't about making the kid the best popper in class or the best breaker, it was making sure they felt confident, in their movement. So I was like, I got to think of creative ways to kind of approach this. And I've actually a couple projects going on. And first off, Zoom private classes are kind of my go-to right now. I don't like to go beyond I love the live stuff. I love how we're giving kids these educations, but I think it's important to know what Sally's doing and commenting like, Sally, is that a Drake poster in the back? And then they're like, yeah, you connect with me, So for me, the Zoom, I cap it usually like 10 to 15 is more personal. And then you can check up on them. And if they have any questions, you can really directly answer them, And most of the time it's just excuse. Again, I think Stacey said this, a way for them to talk, to reach out to someone. So that's been my go-to, but most of the time I'm trying to have them work on themselves. And I think the most important part for, I guess this is term of, this event happening to us, this pandemic, is for them to really work on themselves and not distract them from themselves, because I think that's a huge part. We can give them all these things, but make sure it's coming from them rather than let me just make sure I look cool at this dance. So I've created little programs like me and my good friend who's in the Boston dance industry in like the urban dance culture. We're doing kind of combining our like hobby for drawing and dance. So we're going to play music and they're going to draw something, and then now the dancers have to look and start to dance while looking at this cool art piece, and then they get to talk about it. So we have stuff like that. I've also am doing a thing called, for my younger folks, I guess like the second, third graders, even younger if they wanted to, but I call it Breakfast with Mr. Anthony. And basically, their family signs up for 30 minutes of just in the morning. I did a lot of like the school times, and we'll literally eat breakfast and have conversations, and you'll ask them about their goals and like, what's your goal for today? And obviously, since we're just like quarantined, a lot of them were like, eat. And I'll be like, and then you have to pull something and like, be really personal with them. And I think those moments for me are working, because a lot of, I guess, like my clientele and just my people, right? It wasn't like, oh, he's amazing at dancing, let me go train to be a dancer. It was more like, how can we highlight you? Like, what can we do for you rather what you can do for me, right? So I think in terms of that, it was the connection building and in the personal. I've even done like this one little human. She was in the hospital, but I think it was the beginning of all this, but she didn't have anything that had to do with this. But it was her birthday, so we created a dance video type thing, but also a Dora the Explorer. I'm also a videographer, so that helps out a lot. So it was a lot of like looking at the camera and being like, all right, we have to find your candles. Do you know where the candle is? And then I guess the kid actually responded. So it was starting to think more creative in terms of that. How can we interact with people online without having to be the typical Instagram live? So that's kind of what's going well for me. Yeah.
Love that. I love that you have the Dora the Explorer example, because there's been some really funny memes going around for the dance community that's like, shows a dance instructor in front of the room and they're like, can you see my curve? And then you go, and you hear nothing. Right? That's the Dora the Explorer.
Yeah,
It's
definitely
good.
recording it is very is awkward, but you're in your head, you're just like, this is perfect.
I know, that's so good. It's so interesting. So all of you have some really similar themes, and one thing that I'm pulling out is thinking deeply about your students as humans first, right? And there's also, it seems to be an emphasis on time and space for them to explore who they are and what their interests are. And while I think that we do that normally, it has been exacerbated, that space to really investigate your own self deeply. There's an opportunity for that in this time. Do any of you have any other comments around that idea?
I mean, I just definitely agree with you. Yeah, all of us, adults and kids, both have certainly a space now where we can be a bit more introspective, and there's that place for sparking new ideas and having time to kind of lay in bed at night and reflect on your day and the ideas you've had and what flames, talk about our campfire, can be ignited from the ideas we're being really forced to silver linings, I guess. So yeah.
Right. And I think for me, especially my older group of like mentees, the 17, 18 range, a lot of the time it's, the beginning of all this, it's like they got a date of when it's going to end and it keeps getting pushed. So now they're getting to the point where it's like, okay, when is it going to happen? So now it's giving them tools, inspiring them to, again, look into themselves and be like, okay, what can I do, to enjoy this beautiful day? Or what's so grateful today? What am I grateful for? And it's giving them tasks or like challenges. I always say like, hey, like, work on, you have an iPhone, what videos can you make? And that kid, I guess, one of my students made like a video with the pandemic as like a joke. And he's like wearing like this mask and stuff. But yeah, just giving them challenges, right? And tools to go to bed and be like, this is fine. Yeah.
Hey, Sydney and Emma, can you guys jump on your video and your audio?
Yes.
Cool. Emma, what's it been like? You are a senior, and your year is different now, but there's lots of things to be excited about, right? How are you feeling, and what's working for you right now in the environment, or maybe what's not working?
Yeah, so I will say that we left the state pretty quickly after school's canceled. So we're in Maine right now. And honestly, being here has helped a bit make it feel less like a quarantine and a little bit more like I just can't go to school because I'm far away from school. But still, the remote, I 8 a.m. every day still to do remote learning. But I feel like what's been working for me is I don't know, I guess just the teachers that care. There are some teachers that, unfortunately, they don't care enough to figure out best for us or to figure out how to use technology to really give us the best class they can give us. So the teachers who care are making the class feel like a class, which is good, because part of what has not been working is those classes that don't feel like a class anymore. Like, so much of the academic rigor is out the window. And for me, like, I am a pretty academically driven student, and so that's been hard for me, is that like if everything else is out the window, I want to have a good education. And not that I'm not getting a good education, because at this point it's almost over until I go to college. If I'm not moving at the pace that I want to be moving at, doing something else, but there's nothing else that I can do. So like, that's what personally I need from my teachers. And the arts teachers in general are pretty good about that.
Mm-hmm. Cool. How about you, Sidney? How's it feeling for you?
Well, like Emma said, like, for the academics themselves, there's definitely a difference in like the quality and the rigor that we've had like normally throughout the school year, and that can't really be helped. And honestly, like, I think where we're at right now is like the best that we can do, given that these circumstances are so extreme, that I don't think it would be fair to try to do the same amount of work that we do normally. But I also found some strange benefits to this, that like, particularly for my health and for like my creative outlets, because like now I finally get the chance to sleep in and like have a nice healthy breakfast every morning, which I didn't always get during the school year. And I've been able to read more, write more, like go on walks most days, and which wasn't something that I really had the chance to do during the school year when everything was normal. But even though I'm definitely missing out on a lot of stuff, and everyone is, and we wouldn't want it to stay like this, and this isn't how we want things to be, there are a few good things that I have been able to look for in this.
Awesome. So we are kind of running low on time. So my question for each of you, are there any questions on the chat that we haven't covered yet, Robin?
No, we're all good.
Okay. I'd like to ask you each to comment on one closing question. What do you want, or do you hope that the world will learn post-COVID-19?
Oh, I know.
Okay, go, Marissa.
I absolutely think I speak for most when I say that we are just all going to appreciate what it feels like to be with people who we love to be around and who feed our souls, like, in person. And furthermore, you know, as we get further and further into modern life, we rely more on tech and we rely more on screens to do things for us or to provide us with entertainment or whatever the case may be. And I feel like 2020, it like came to a head, and here we are, and it's like, this is all we have now. Moving out of this stage, I think all of us are going to be like, oh, give me real life, give me nature, give me peopling, give me social interaction and just real life things again. So I think for me, certainly that's the biggest one.
Thank you.
I think the pace that we move at, I think we've noticed that our lives are less busy, and kind of like Sidney was saying, there's a lot of beauty in not being as busy? And how can we be more efficient in the work that we do so that there's time for more of the walks and the healthy breakfasts and things like that?
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Yeah. And for me, I think it's the, telling, we finally got that breath, that moment to understand, like, wow, like, I don't really like that part about me, or, oh, I kind of like that part about me, or, man, I miss going to this. And it's kind of showing that, the moment doesn't matter where you are. It's like you are enough, right? And everything in that moment of just, existence, when we come back, I hope we're like, wow, that feeling when you first see a sunset or sunrise and you're like, this is it. Like, that beautiful feeling is now integrated in our everyday life, especially the families, especially, driving past families interacting with each other again, and everyone's outside trying their best, stay quarantined. But I hope we go back to understanding that just being is enough and it's perfect, right?
Awesome. Thanks.
I can speak next. There are like a million things I could say about this situation, but probably the simplest, and I think what should be the easy for us to do after this, kind of piggybacking off of what Marissa said, like, it's so clear now how much we rely on technology and how the internet really is like a place that we all exist in. And so what I hope that people take away post COVID-19 and start doing during COVID-19 is really making the internet a safe and supportive place and a considerate place. It is and it isn't. And when it's all we have, that's what it needs to be. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, bravo. Yeah, Sydney, what do you think?
Yeah, kind of also like what Marissa said about how people have always been saying that, like, as technology advances and everything, like, we don't even need to see each other anymore because everything can be done digitally. But I think this has shown that there really isn't a real replacement for like true in-person human connection, because this isn't like anyone's first choice of how we would communicate to each other, but it's just what we have to do. And so I think we definitely appreciate more like the value of seeing each other in person and being together in person. And yeah, like that's kind of like why I chose that poem tonight, The End of Science Fiction, showing how even as technology and everything advances, we can't replace like the human basics of how we live and how we are to each other.
Bravo. So on that note, I just want to invite everybody who's watching to just remember that you have a choice to look at things or really see them for what they are. And sometimes it's really difficult to see. Ginny Lupi, who's the director of the New Hampshire State Council on the Arts, wrote a little comment in here. And one of her sort of comments on this, I think, is really profound. She wants us to recognize and start to ameliorate the extreme disparity and poverty in our country, because the pandemic has starkly illuminated the holes in the safety net. Our job post this pandemic will be to heal those holes and take care of each other. There is healing to be done, and there will be healing to do in the future. And the people who are with us tonight at Creative Campfire are sparking those healing fires, and you can find out more about them here. If you go to www.leadwitharts.com and you click on the blog, the first post you see will be talking about all of these people who joined us tonight including our tech guru behind the scenes, Brett Robinson, and the awesome support we received from Plymouth State University to make this webinar happen. We are so grateful. Don't forget that the people who work in technology and IT are also the heroes of the day. So thanks, Brett, and Travis too, behind the scenes. I hope everybody has an awesome night. I want to thank all of my panelists. It is so wonderful to spend an hour of my time listening to what you do and thinking about arts and culture in the state of New Hampshire. And thank you, New Hampshire State Council on the Arts, for all of your support in pushing this out. And to my colleague and BFF, Robin Marcotte, thank you so much. I love you for always supporting me in what we do. I can't wait to see you guys off of Zoom. Yeah? And everyone stay tuned for the next Creative Campfire. We've got one churning about art that failed. And we've got another one churning about all dance all the time. So we'll see you for the next installment. I hope you all have a great night. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.